everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you for joining us. So, first thing, foremost, most important, you guys will notice by the hat, as I record today, this is September 11th, one of the most historic days ever. 22 years it has been since the horrible events of September 11th, 2001. It's hard to believe that so much time has gone by. I don't know how you guys feel about it. And again, I can see on my screen we're having some connection issues. Hopefully, this isn't too terrible. But I really do think it is important that we do remember that day and just kind of remember where you were and how they kind of made you feel. I remember that day still so clear, as it was a morning where I woke up late because I was still working overnight at that point. I was actually working at Blockbuster Video, if that doesn't kind of date you a little bit. And I woke up to a phone call from my mother who was telling me to turn on the news. And I turned the news on right as the second plane went into the tower. And the rest of that day, I sat there glued to the TV, had to work that night, turn it on, the TVs in the store, and we just watched. I think we had two people come through the door that night, as I know everyone was just kind of sitting at home in, shock and what's going on. So just want to make sure we get that out there first and foremost. A remembrance of today, as it really has shaped the last 22 years of the country and the way that we look at so many things. So just sending of love and feelings towards everyone affected in New York City, the people affected around the world, the first responders, of course, who were the absolute heroes of the day, and so continue to be that, even many years later. Right now, I am wearing my hat that I got made. Let's see if you can see it here. This is from the New York Marathon back in 2021. So this is the hat that I had made for the race. And up here, this is a pin from the Ground Zero Museum. And if you've not been to New York and not gone to really the 9/11 Memorial and to Ground Zero and to the museum, I highly recommend that you do so. It's overwhelming at times, to be real honest. You see a lot of kind of artifacts from that day, but there's a room. There's a room that you go into in that museum that has like some of the things that were found in the debris and signs that people had made for their missing loved ones. There's just a room in there, and if you've been there, you know the room I'm talking about. I don't know if it has a name, and I didn't see, oh, here, this is room blah blah blah. But whoa, you don't go in and out of that room and keep your eyes dry. To be real honest, it was a very emotional tour. When I went out to the New York Marathon back in 2021, I spent a day, and it was early. Like I gave myself, I think, 4 days before the race because I'd never been in New York before, and I wanted to, experience the city. And one of the days, I made it all about basically 9/11. I went to Ground Zero, and I went to the museum, and I went to what do they call it now? Freedom Tower, I believe it's called, or World Trade Center. I can't remember the name moment. Sorry. The new tower that was built. I went up to the observation deck and I did that. I even went to the Statue of Liberty, but I did a lot of 9/11 inspired touristy things. And I'm very glad I did, as it was very moving, very educational. And as time goes by, we are more inclined to forget about these events. I caution you, let's never forget this. That is kind of the slogan for this: never forget. And so today, as I record this right now, it is 9/11. It has been 22 years since the terror attacks. And again, just love to all those affected, both in New York and around the world. And so just keep them kind of in your hearts as we continue on in this humble little podcast. So this was the weekend of the Plaza 10k. I think most of you were there. I think most of the people who listen to this show were actually there at the Plaza 10k. It was a good event. It was a beautiful morning. Again, I know we all would have taken it maybe 10 degrees cooler, but all things considered, really wasn't that bad. So it was a good morning, great race. We had a table set up for the Casey Hustle Run, which, as I record, is only 6 days away. We are almost to it. We met some new people. We had some people register for the race last minute. So thank you guys. very much if you were maybe introduced to the podcast at that table and you're tuning in to hear about it. Thank you very much for stopping and talking to us. Race director Will was there, I was there, and then a lot of our friends just kind of stopped by and said hello. So that was really a great day, a great event. I look forward to the Plaza 10K every year. And yet again, I'm going to get you, Amy. So Ambassador Amy yet again had someone along the course introduce themselves to me as a listener of the podcast, referred by Amy, and she thinks I'm making it up every time I say it, but no, I am not. Yet again, I meet another fan introduced by Ambassador. And so I appreciate everything you do. I really do. And I don't appreciate the lagging of my screen right now, which is going to drive me nuts. Hopefully it does not bother you all as much. Also ran into the race director for the Top City Half Marathon. Shout out to you, sir. Thank you for stopping me and introducing yourself. And I'm very glad that you enjoyed our review of the race. Again, I love that race. The Top City Marathon, Half Marathon, in Topeka, Kansas, was a wonderful event that took place in the spring. And I'm looking forward to going back in 2024. And so we will talk more about it as we get closer. I know we're not even technically in fall yet, even though I consider this fall running season. But yes, we will talk a lot more about the Top City Half Marathon in Topeka. But thank you for stopping me and saying hello. I'm glad you will be at the KC Hustle Run coming up here in 6 days. Woohoo! So one thing, because I know, I'm going to be honest, we have been just completely off right now with everything going on with the race, with the start of the fall running season. I know I haven't really taken a dive into subjects, over the course of an episode. And I'm sorry about that. I know a lot of people find things that we cover informational at times. There's a lot of information out there, but maybe not about one specific subject that we focus on for the episode. So I'm going to try real quick just to cover something quickly. So during the Plaza 10K, I had an experience that if I've had it before, I don't really remember it. I had a hotspot, quote unquote, a hotspot develop on my right foot. I have these new shoes. We've talked about them before. This was the longest distance I've taken these new shoes on. And with about 2 miles left, my right foot was killing me. On the very bottom of the foot, kind of the pad of my foot, top right side below the pinky toe and the ring toe. And that's where I was experiencing a lot of pain. So just let's talk about hotspots before we go on to the KC Hustle Run, which we're going to cover. So I found an article here. This is from Empower Your Run. We've talked to them before, and this was done by a gentleman named Dominic. And it says, during my years as a runner, I've encountered and solved a small universe of physical problems, and one inconvenience that stuck by me for a while were hotspots on the foot. And again, this was kind of new to me. I know what hotspots are, but I'd never really gotten one like this before. These were probably brought on by my flat feet, and man, were they a hassle, but luckily I've managed to overcome them. In case you've encountered this issue, don't worry, it is an easily treatable condition. I can't talk today, go figure. In case you haven't noticed, the one thing that I did bring home from the Plaza 10K, a cold. I'm sick. I am sick today, if you can believe that. It's a little cold. It's just kind of a pain cold. But as we're going into one of the biggest races of my career, this just doesn't help. Thanks, Mother Nature or cold or whatever it is. So anyway, let's continue on. Here we go. What are hotspots? A hotspot can be described as a pre-blister state on your skin. It is the body's way of letting you know that skin is more than it should and that you need to give it a break. They usually appear during extensive and or intense periods of exercise. I think a 10K can qualify as one of those. The ball of your foot is the part which commonly gets hot spots because this area endures the most pressure while running. Ding, ding, ding. Those who suffer from this problem find it painful to run and are unable to enjoy their physical activities anymore. Luckily, there is no need to get anxious, as this condition is quite common among professional as well as recreational athletes and thus easy to fix. So the causes. All right, here's some of the causes that this guy gives us. Hollow feet. High arched feet, also known as hollow feet, are more prone to this condition than normal feet. The trouble is that this type of foot is very flexible, which makes the skin on the bottom stretch too much. It also places a lot of pressure on the arch, which only adds to this problem. Then on the flip side of that, we have flat feet. This is a condition that I have, main reason why I got the hot spots in the first place. It says this. When flat feet run, they tend to overpronate, which excessively stretches the skin. My tip for you would be to see a physical therapist and ask him to give you some treatment options that go well with your running. Another one, too much heat. Lately, that could pertain. When feet get too hot, inside shoe falls up, becomes often highly irritable. This opens the door to a plethora of possible problems, with hot spots being one of the main ones. The solution could be to choose shoes which are made of breathable materials, such as mesh, instead of full leather ones. Next is bad shoes. Oh, bad shoes, very bad. Be careful when choosing running shoes, because if you choose a model that is too tight for your foot, it might cause. This happens due to friction between the shoe and the foot, as they are stuck closely together with no room to breathe. Also, a narrow toe box might irritate the toe, so I strongly advise against it. Most runners do not like the narrow toe boxes. No. Next, shoes that aren't tied tightly, and I'm wondering if this is where mine. The running shoe should tightly envelop the heel, ankle, and arch, and you can do this by tightening your laces. By doing this, you decrease the chances the shoe will create some untension with foot. But keep in mind, shoes should never hit the front. However, let's just try this again. I'd edit it out, but I'm not going to. However, keep in mind that your toes should never hit the front of the shoe and that they should have some room to spread out. Also, don't lace up too tightly because this could cut off blood circulation. I do think that I might have had my shoes a little too loose. I know there was a lot of movement in my shoe as I was running. So, for what that's worth. Another one, too much moisture. Wet skin is soft and easy to damage, which makes it vulnerable to hot spots. When you run, your feet inevitably start sweating, creating a moist environment inside the shoes. That happens, socks, shoes start rubbing against each other and cause hot spots. And then lastly, friction and more friction. Running is a very repetitive motion, which means that the same spot hits the ground over and over again. This means that if your shoes are just a tiny bit too tight or a certain part of your foot doesn't sit well, there is a high chance that this area will get irritated due to the amount of friction it experiences. This is especially true for long runs, such as half marathons or above. So I'm not going to go into how do you know if you have a hot spot. Well, you have a hot spot and it hurts. Ta-da. And then, all right. So how to prevent and treat hot spots? Easy. Proper running shoes. That's number one. I'm not going to go through all his stuff. This is all kind of pretty self-explanatory. If you think it's a problem with your shoes, maybe your shoes are getting a little worn out. Maybe the cushion at the bottom is not what it was. You can kind of feel that it's not rubbing right. It might be the shoes. Next, socks. Choose smart socks. And I will read what he says on this. Believe it or not, but socks are a major player in this situation, and I suggest you wear double layered socks. Now, when you run, the friction is going to build up between the two layers of socks rather than the sock and the foot, and lessen the chance of hot spots. Also, avoid cotton socks as they soak up all the sweat and keep your feet moist, which is something you definitely don't want. And you know what? I think probably most of us throw on cotton socks and don't even think about it. I think that is another thing that might have gotten me. If you have the flat or hollow feet, use orthodontics, and again, talk to them. Next, decrease friction. Besides double layered socks, there are other ways in which you can reduce friction inside the shoes. One thing is that you could do is simply apply zinc oxide tape or blister plasters to the area of the foot that seems to be showing signs of a hot spot forming, or is the spot where it is most likely to appear. Another popular method is foot lubrication, as a slippery foot is less likely to get irritated and damaged. Glide. Most of us have used Glide at some point in our time. If you got a hot spot, Glide. I will need to start putting Glide on my foot. And so the rest, they go into it about blisters, but we're not really talking blisters right now. This was just a real quick thing on hot spots, just because it came up. It affected my run. And again, I'm getting really terrible about judging my race, because if you had asked me when I finished the Plaza 10k if I had a good race or not, I would have told you no. I would have said I had a very bad race. I did not feel fast at all. Well, then I come home to my handy dandy spreadsheet. It was my second fastest 10K ever. So whatever. I guess I ran faster because my foot hurt. I'm going to go with that. All right. My foot hurt, so I ran faster. Yay. Jeez. So was something in it. All right. Here we go. One of the few times you guys are going to have to hear this. I promise. I promise. It is almost here. We are 6 days away. 6 long, lonely days as we head down the final stretch. The finish line is in sight. We are almost to the Casey Hustle Run. Dear God, I can't wait for this to be over. I cannot wait for this to be over. I am so looking forward to Sunday, though. I cannot wait to see everyone there. It is going to be super fun. But by the time we get everything packed up and we leave Corporate Woods on Sunday, late morning or early afternoon, I'm going to be so happy that this is done. Huge credit to all the people who are race directors. You guys are the real MVP because this is not an easy job. And I've had people helping me, and it's still a huge pain. But hey, it's coming up. We are doing okay on registrants. We're having a nice little push here at the end, which is great. I know there's been a lot of love out there on Facebook, people sharing the event, saying, hey, I'm going to be there, telling their friends, tagging their friends in posts. All of that has just been wonderful, and it is super helpful. I've told you guys over and over again, referrals. Referrals are the driving force in the running world. If you like the Back of the Pack podcast and you refer your friend, they are more likely to listen to it. If you want to do a 5K or 10K called the Casey Hustle Run and you refer your friend, they are more likely to run it. Referrals are where it's at. Like, that's just it. Hey, think of it. If you have a race that you think is really fun and you tell them, hey, you run this race, they're going to do it. If you know of a medal that is super cool and you refer them, they're going to run it and get the medal. That's how this works. So thank you to everyone who is referring people and tagging people and just spreading the word. You guys are awesome, and you're really helping out in a big, big way in making this a more successful event. Because again, ultimately, this event is not about feeding my ego. I really promise it is not. This is 100% to try and raise as many funds as we can for St. Jude Children's Hospital, because it is just so important. Again, we've talked about this probably ad nauseum, but I'm going to mention it one more time. Last year, when we had on Baby J's Legacy of Hope and Braden's Hope for the Cure, and I learned about only 4% of cancer funding going towards kids' cancer and kids' research and kids' treatment, 4%, I lost my mind. So it was a no-brainer when we decided to do this race that we wanted to do something, anything, to help like a St. Jude or someone who is working to combat children's cancer. In St. Jude, we reached out to them and just like, hey, we're a piddly nobody. Are you guys interested? And they've been nothing but amazing to these piddly nobodies. So I want to do everything we possibly can to bring awareness, to raise any funds that we can, but really just to have a great event that all of it benefits St. Jude. And again, while we're out there, just keep in mind that you are helping kids fighting cancer, you're helping their families. And honestly, is there much a better reason to run? No, there's not. That's amazing. So I can't wait to get out there. And you know what? We're going to do everything we can to make this an awesome event. So what am I going to do? All right. So me personally, it is finally time that I lived up to my name, that I lived up to, as people have started calling me, Mr. Back of the Pack. I am going to be the last person to start that race, and I'm going to be the last person to finish it. And I am going to have as much fun as I can along that course, just to make it a good morning. My 16-year-old is going to be with me. We're going to play music on a speaker. We're just going to probably dance along the course. We will stop. We will talk to people. We'll just kind of keep everyone moving along and keep everyone in front of us. And if you want to walk with us, if you want to make it a big old party in the back of the pack, if you don't care about your finisher time, I welcome everyone. Everyone, come hang out with us in the back. We're going to make it a party. We're going to walk that 10K. And then when we finish, we're all going to breathe the biggest sigh of relief that there is, because we will have pulled off this event. But please, if you want, join us in the back of the pack. It's going to be super fun. Now, if you remember a few moments ago, I said, hey, I'm under the weather here. I need to take a drink because my throat is dry now. So cheers. Oh, afternoon coffee. You gotta love it, but man, it sure helps the throat. So that's what I'm doing for the KC Hustle Run. Here is what I want you to do. So I had this idea and I bounced it off a few people and they think it's a good one. So if it's a good idea that other people think is good, then it's probably as good. If it's just me, I could be wrong. While you were there, while you were at the KC Hustle Run, and I don't care if it's before the race, during the race, after the race, whatever, I want you to pull out your cell phones. I want you to turn on your camera and I want you to go to video. I want you to take, I don't care, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, record something. And if you do and you send it to us here, we will have it on next week's podcast. I would love for next week's podcast for me to be like, hey, everyone, welcome to the show. Everyone have a great week. And all in between are people who just recorded something at the KC Hustle Run. Say that you like the podcast. Say that you like my hair. Say that you are having a great time. Get a group of people. Everyone say, hey, it's me and you, and yay, go team, whatever. Just I would love it if we could make a whole episode of just shout outs along that course. Again, I don't care. Just keep it clean. But I think that would be super fun. So I invite all of you, be a part of next week's podcast by just pulling out your phone at the KC Hustle Run and take a video of something you think is cool, or take a video of someone you ran into along the course that is an old buddy of yours. Introduce yourselves, say what you like, say what you don't like. I don't care. Say, hey, St. Jude is freaking awesome, because they are. But I would love to see however many little 30-second videos we can get for next week's episode. And I'm just going to line them up one right after another. And I think that would be a great way to commemorate the KC Hustle Run. Again, September 17th, benefiting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So please consider it. Think about it. Because honestly, I think it would be a lot of fun. And again, everything to raise awareness. And then you can share it. And then you can be like, hey, look, everyone, look at what we did. Look at what we, as the Kansas City running community, have done to help these people and to raise awareness. Do you think there's other races out there that are going to take all these video clips and put them together and make them their own podcast? No, because there's not that many. There's not many people that have podcasts that also have races. So we're one of the lucky ones. And let's do it, because it would be super fun. So I'm hoping you will do that. I will put it out on social media, this idea as well, in case you didn't make it this deep in the podcast, which shame on you if you did not. But let's do that. Let's really have fun. Let's have fun. I know there's a ton of you who are going to race seriously, and you guys are awesome, and I hope you tear up the track. If you ever had an excuse, though, to take a race easy and just enjoy the morning, hey, the weather's going to be beautiful. Our extended forecast right now is money. We're talking about a race in the 50s. Yes, please. So if you are looking for an excuse to just take it easy, to have some fun, just to party with some people, this is it. This is your invitation. I cordially invite you to make this as fun a race as you can possibly have, while still collecting a finisher medal, rocking a beanie when it gets a little colder outside. And so that's what we're going to do. But it is coming up. It is now 6 days away. We are almost here to the KC Hustle Run 2023. And I'm excited. I'm nervous. I really want this to go well. I want everyone to have a good time. I don't want anyone to have a bad word to say about it. But just know that there have been people, Katie, Will, myself, and others, who are really working their butts off to try and make this the best event that they possibly can. And to all of them, I say thank you. I will say thank you probably many times, but I will say thank you again. Don't forget that we will also have country music recording artist Noe Palmer. He is doing the national anthem. So thank you for him for donating his time for this cause and this race. So you guys are going to get a great national anthem by a very popular local singer. So that is super cool. And just see how it goes. Again, I hope I don't have to do anything for next week's podcast except edit together a lot of videos. That would be a lot of work, but I would be thrilled to do it. So last thing I'm going to leave you with, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. I don't think I will, but I want to kind of retract something I've said before and just fill you in on what could be. So I know on the Diamond episode, I informed you guys that producer Katie had stepped away. just ways of going. I wasn't sure I was going to keep this going or I was going to, but for how long? And some people thought it was a real downer of an episode. For that, I apologize. I certainly was not trying to make it a downer of an episode. I'm just, you guys, if you haven't figured it out by now, I shoot straight. I don't BS. I don't blow smoke. I don't mislead. I tell you how it is, whether that's good or bad. That's kind of what I do. So I apologize if it seemed like a downer. I am not going anywhere. Again, this is now going to be, I think, the 77th episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. We will get to 100 in February. I have every intention of getting a custom-made Back of the Pack podcast hat with a 100 on it for hitting 100 episodes. Well, if we're going to hit 100 episodes in February, we might as well get to our 2-year anniversary in March at the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. So, okay, let's at least get to March. What I want to share, and hopefully I'm not doing anyone dirty, and I don't think I am, there's a small, microscopic, teeny tiny chance that we could have some big things happening. I've been approached by someone who would like to perhaps invest, sponsor, help out this podcast. Someone who believes that this podcast, as awesome as it is as just our very local podcast, potentially could be something worldwide, or at least all over the country. Well, to do that, of course, you have to have funds. Again, I put out the Patreon page. We're still at 0. I got told it was hard to find, so I'm going to put it back on the Facebook page. But this would be someone who is interested in getting us to a much grander scale. This talk has been 48 hours old. All right, I understand. Like this could fall apart and blow into the wind, as soon as I hit stop on this recording. But if anything comes of it, we're talking an investor in this show that could really help us get to the levels that I think we would all like to see. Now, to do that, and again, they didn't ask this, I'm asking this. I want you guys, I need you guys to continue your amazing and unwavering support of my dinky little running podcast, where I like to just get on here and talk about running because it's something I'm passionate about, and I know you all are too. I just need you to keep it up. So like today, on this Monday, September 11th, I put out Metal Monday. I try and do that most Mondays. I need to do it all Mondays. I'm not perfect. Sorry. But there's been a lot of social media interaction with it. A lot of people are liking it. A lot of people are commenting. Some people are tagging. Some are sharing. That's what I need. And I know I've said it before, but I really need it now. We want to look good. We want to show potential person that just because we are a completely non-funded and very local thing, we still are getting the interaction and we're still getting participation, not precipitation. That's what it's doing outside because it's raining. We're getting participation. If you guys can do that for me, just keep it up. Just keep up what you're doing, what you've done today. Share the podcast, like, watch, view, download, tell your friends, refer. Again, you want to donate to Patreon, super duper great. That would be super helpful. But really, I'm not even asking for money. I am asking for a little bit of time and your interest and your love of this show. And all I need you to do is just continue to show it. Just put it out there. Put it out into this world and let's see what happens. If you like what we're doing, share it. If you like what I said, comment on it. Let's just keep up. All of us, most of us are our little Kansas Cityan selves in our little teeny tiny corner of the world, corner of the globe, if you will. Just continue to show love and be active. It looks good. And who knows at some point in time, this thing might actually just blow up. How cool would that be? And then you guys can say that you knew us when, and we will just be all over the place. And, we're talking merchandise sales, merchandising. Let's not get crazy now. But again, if somebody takes interest and thinks this could be something, I ain't going to tell them no. Let's work hard. I'll work hard. You guys work hard too. Work hard at being supportive in this Kansas City community. That's what we do. We have the most supportive running community in all of God's green earth. I stand by that. And I say it almost every episode. So that's what I got on that. That's just a little sneak peek. Just, hey, keep your fingers crossed, keep a happy thought, but yeah, keep the interaction on social media going. Let's make this thing as popular as we can here, and it just grows. Things just grow. That's how it works, man. No podcast starts with 11 billion views. It doesn't work that way. But we're gonna just keep grinding like we do, because again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Ha ha. We're gonna keep going, and we'll see what happens. So that's a little bit of good news, because I guess the Diamond episode was too much of a downer, and you're not wrong. Definitely not wrong. So I want to thank you guys for being the supportive, wonderful people you are. Thank you for all the people who aren't in Kansas City that still listen to this podcast. You guys are awesome. And again, got to meet one in Boston from Texas. I know. I could just tell that story 100 times because it's still so cool. But that should do it for this week's Back of the Pack podcast. Again, I know I sound like garbage, under the weather. Sorry. I should be fine. Get rid of this stupid little cold by the KC Hustle Run. Here's hoping. So anyway, my name is Kyle Walker. It is my privilege, as always. I can't wait to see you all on Sunday at the KC Hustle Run. Right now, we've got a wonderful week of weather coming, so you're going to be able to train. And if you don't want to party with us in the back, you can get all your training runs in, and you will just absolutely flambe that course on Sunday. And it's going to be great. And it's going to be my privilege to be there and watch you do it. Even if I am in the back of the pack, I'll know that you did it. So everyone have a great week of training. We will see you next week. And again, I can't stress it enough. Social media, however you like to share the podcast, get it out there. Tell your friends, tell your family, likes, comments, shares. That is where it's at, and that's how we grow. Thank you so much. There's the famous thumbs up. We will see you Sunday at the KC Hustle Run.